right, it's now 2 minutes past the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get started again. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining this Cosmo Campfire session. I am your host today, Lexi Brunt. I'm a part of the customer success team for Aprika Business Solutions. I've been with the company for a little, going on 4 years in August, and in the Salesforce ecosystem for a little over 5 years. On the agenda today, we'll be taking a look at portfolio management. This is a feature in Mission Control that allows you to manage portfolios of work that consist of multiple programs. Each program can also contain multiple projects. So it's a large bucket for an account or a customer. Okay. So during this session, we will hope that you are able to gain from this understanding of the relationship between portfolios, programs, and projects, understanding of how to navigate to the portfolio detail page and what that consists of, as well as the portfolio Gantt chart, whiteboard, and analytics available on the page layout. Now, if you've been a customer of Mission Control for a while, you may need to add some of these items to your layout. That is something that I can show at the end of the demonstration if we have anyone without an updated portfolio layout. Same for the program. All right, so let's discuss the object model. For the portfolio, this object sits above the program level. This can also have multiple programs related to it. So your portfolio will have a collection of programs related to it. This provides a 7-layer project structure, and this is outlined below. Okay, so portfolio will be your top level, program is the second level under that, then you have your project, phase, milestone, action, and your checklist item. Essentially, when you're building out your project, you're actually going to start, you'll create your project, you'll create your milestones or your buckets for your actions and tasks to go into, and then you start to create your tasks. All of the information as you progress your projects will begin to roll up to your program level and then roll up to your portfolio level. So I'll show you an example of how I have this set up in my system. All right, so let's actually start on the project level. Okay, so I'm just going to duplicate this and go into one of these projects. And per usual, it's going to be a standard project that consists of milestones, actions, checklist items. There's some dependencies in here. I have all of my assignments. And as you can see, I have some completion of this project going on, start and end dates, and all the fun stuff. Okay, so for a customer that might be long-term, you don't want to create a really long project, okay? This can cause issues when loading the project into things like the scheduler or the Gantt chart or other components. So what you would want to do is actually break that project up into sections that can either be for a certain duration, the length of their contract, or other determining factors. Okay, so what I've done is I went to my project object and I've created a list view. Now, not everyone has permissions to create list views, so you might need an administrator to do this for you. I just went over here, created a new list view, and I've added in my project name, my program, and my start and end date. So in my example, I'm relating my projects to different programs based on the dates that are assigned to that project. So for example, I have a rip curl project that is going into the program for 22 to 23. So any of the projects that we've had with rip curl during the 2022 and 2023 years are assigned to those programs. Now, I did have to create the program first for it to be available for me to assign, okay? So this is as simple as just clicking new program, you'll create a name for it. And then if there's someone that owns it, if there's an account, you can populate that. The rest of the fields will automate, okay? We'll discuss the portfolio in a second. So the first step is to relate your projects to your program. And currently, I have two programs here that we're considering, the Rip Curl 22 to 23 and the Rip Curl 24 to 25. Okay, so I've created those programs, related it from here. And then the next thing that I did was create a portfolio, the Rip Curl portfolio, and that's going to have any of the projects that we've done for this customer, okay? So I've created the portfolio. I went to the program level, and similar to how I did the project, I created a list view and added a portfolio field just to make it easier to assign, okay? Because with this, I can select all of them, and then I can go in and update all three programs, okay? Similar to your project, if you're using a list view, you can use these checkboxes to your advantage. I've just selected all of these projects, and then I can go in and assign it and update all of those records, okay? So it's just ease of access, okay? The next step, once we have our portfolio and our programs assigned as required, I will show you how that information rolls up, okay? So on the Rip Curl portfolio, we have the detail page. Now, most of these fields are roll-up summary fields from your program level. So it's pulling in your status, it's pulling in your start and end dates are going to roll up. So the earliest start date, the latest end date for my portfolio, all of the projects that relate to them as well. You can see that all of the hour information has rolled up from my related projects as well. And then my financial information will roll up as well. Okay. So to get a better idea of timeline, if these projects are currently active or you want to manage or determine the timeline, I recommend using the Gantt chart. Now, this tab is already on the portfolio from our release. However, if you do not have that, it can be added to the page layout. Great thing about having the Gantt chart on this level is you can see the relationship between each of those projects throughout the entire portfolio. So this is 7 layers of our project here. We have our portfolio layer. Next, we have our program layer. So this is all of the projects in the 2022 to 2023 program. And then we have all of the projects that are in the 24 to 25 year program. Okay, so these are 2 programs, and these are all of the projects under it that are relating to this customer. Okay, so if I wanted to create relationships between these projects, I can certainly do so by expanding the project that I would like to create a relationship between. And just so we can see better, let's see, where's the end of this project? Might be best to do a relationship between these two. So basically what I could say is I want this project to start after the other one has ended. And it's a huge timeline, so I might need to zoom out here, but I can do a dependency between projects. Okay, so that's the great thing about your Gantt chart here. And you'll have all the standard functionality. of your dependencies and other things that you might want to occur for that project timeline, for that customer's timeline. Okay, and this goes all the way down into checklist items. If you have checklist items on your project, you can see them here as well. All of your progress will roll up and summarize on your portfolio level. Okay, another feature that we have on here would be the whiteboard, so that you can see a Kanban style view of all of the tasks that are available on all of the related projects. All right, so if you look here, this is related to the retainer skill-based project. We have the billing generator project, and that way we can see all of our tasks here. Another thing that I can do in this whiteboard, I can change it to view by the task owner. And there's just a lot of options here to view information for this portfolio. The next layer that we have would be our analytics. So our charts, these are pre-built charts that we've built and included in the package and then added to the page layout. You can also create your own charts and drag them into the page layout as required. So we have your portfolio budget, a breakdown of all the projects that are in this portfolio. If you have requirements and are building on a product roadmap, you'll see your requirements in, here. Your overdue action count and resource allocation, who's assigned to all of these projects, how many hours are they assigned, and so forth. Okay, you get your risk summary, risk matrix, your billing information, and then your expense summary as well. All right, so in the related list, you can also see which programs are related here. And then if you have field level history tracking set up, and then you'll also get your standard chatter feature. Okay, I don't have chatter enabled for this object, so I don't use that feed, but you can also use set up chatter to be used for your portfolio level. All right, does anyone have any questions so far? And this item is pretty, or I'm sorry, this subject matter is pretty quick. So that would be all that I have for this demonstration. All right, we have a question from one of the attendees. Would you like to talk or would you like to just enter in the chat? I've opened up access to unmute if you would like.
Yes, I just work in a professional services environment. Would a portfolio be something more along timelines for projects with the programs underneath them being things like categories for projects, or do I have that flipped around?
It could be either way. So if you have a long-term customer and it's all relating to one account, then you can build it out according to, like, if it's a professional service project or if it's a different kind of project but the same customer, you can use it for that purpose as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right, do we have any other questions? A great thing to check on would be if you have your page layout set up as required. You know, the hours information and financial information, this is all new items that we've added to the portfolio level, as well as the Gantt chart, whiteboard, and the charts. If you take a look at your program level, you'll want to make sure the page layout is set up like this also. So I can see here that my program level does not have the whiteboard available. This can easily be added if you have administrative permissions. So I'll just give a quick demonstration of that since we're done with the presentation here. So to do so, you'll edit the page, And again, you'll need certain permissions in your org to be able to do this. But once you get your page layout open, you'll want to click these tabs. It's going to open up your tab modal here. And I'm actually going to rearrange these and add a tab. So this tab is actually going to be labeled custom. And I will name this whiteboard. And what I'm going to do is click into this whiteboard component. And if you scroll down, you'll have all of the custom managed components that we have available in the system. Okay. I have questions on the dependencies, and I'll get to that in 1 second. So once I do have my tab open, I'm just going to drag and drop the whiteboard component into the page layout. The system will do the remaining filtering for you. Okay. All right, so we have a question. Do dependencies with portfolios only exist within the project level, or can I take action A from project A in program A and portfolio A and relate action B in project B, program B, but also still portfolio A? Yes, you can create inter-program dependencies. So let's go back to our page layout. I'm going to do this from the portfolio level just so you can see all of our projects. And let's go to the latest rip curl here. And relate it to this rip curl. So if you can see, this pink line is my program level. I'm going to drag and relate to the milestone. Okay, and then you can still set up the dates as required. If you want it to start a little bit later, that's going to give you lag or lead in your dependency. So you might not want it to start immediately after. You might want to wait 30 days before the next project starts, or anything like that. Great question. All right, does anyone else have any questions? That's great. Be mindful if you're viewing a Gantt by project, trying to move something, it may not move to the dependency that you have created that is not visible by project. So any dependency that I've created within the project level should show here. So any existing dependencies should show within my Gantt chart. But yes, that's correct. You'll want to consider, that your project might have a dependency to another project when you're changing those dates. That way you're not causing an error. You might receive an error if you tried to move it outside of a certain time frame, or if you're trying to adjust this date to a date that does not align with this dependency. You'll definitely want to consider that. That's correct. All right. Are there any other questions on this? I know it's a pretty quick topic, but something we definitely still wanted to discuss as it's been released. I think it's great that all of these values also roll up automatically. So you can continue to progress your projects as normal, and all of this information will automatically update for you. How is the budget relationship between portfolios? How does the budget relationship work between portfolio, program, projects, and so on? For example, if my portfolio budget is 100K and I allocate 40K to program A, does the remaining portfolio amount available for other programs become 60K? Does the same type of relationship apply downstreams to projects and other elements? Thanks for the question. So actually what happens is this information will roll up, okay? So this field is manual because the information from your project is going to roll up from your project. So it's going to basically add all of your project budget fields together, and that's going to roll up to your program. So let me go to a program really quick. So I haven't set the program budget, but the total project budget is what's going to give me that dollar amount. So that's what's going to roll up. I would manually set this on my program budget, and then we'll get a figure of if we're over or under budget. So if I was to set my portfolio as 100,000, and then the values start to roll up and I'm over 100,000, that just means that I under budgeted. I didn't assume that we were going to have the correct budget. Another way to do that, I could, I could come in here. Let me update my program budget. So let's say the total project budget shows as 91,000. I'm going to say my program budget here is 100,000. And then I'm going to go to my other program and update that budget. This total project budget is at 55,000. I'm going to say my total program budget is 60,000. Now, this is just because I'm seeing the figure here, but when you're actually doing your scope of your project and things like this, this might be assumed before the projects begin to progress. The great thing is you'll get a under or over budget value. So as your project starts to progress, it's more so a learning curve. Like, okay, we thought it was going to be this much, but when we start to commit the hours, when that work actually started to get done, we realized we under budgeted, or we under valued the projects. Okay, so this is going to roll up. Now when I refresh my portfolio, we'll see that 160,000 from me manually setting those fields. Okay, so this is also something that I can set manually. I can say about my budget for this portfolio is 175. Now, another thing to consider is if the project goes over and more projects are added or more programs are added, of course, this might become more than the portfolio budget. Another thing too is I can already see that my hours scheduled billable value is over what I set at my portfolio level. So that's another way to consider that budget. It's by entering in the hours value and seeing how the financials roll up and using that to set your budget. But instead of it going downward, it's going to roll upward. See all of my different project budgets here as well. Okay. Any other questions on that? And so it won't work as a bucket of budget. Can you have a dashboard view that contains multiple portfolios? Yes. So what you would do is you would create your chart from a report. You might need to create a record type to include if you want program information or whatever. Let's see. All right, so currently I have programs with portfolios. I could do just portfolio since all of my information rolls up. Portfolio history will actually be the reporting values from my field history tracking, and that's this here. So when changes are made to the values, I can create a report on those changes. So that's what the history would be. I'm going to go ahead and just create a portfolio. I might want other fields on here. Total hour schedule. All right, so just to give an idea of this, hour summary. Um, Let me edit this so that'll let me do a chart. Once you've created a chart from it, then you can add the chart to your dashboards, okay? So let's just save and run. And this is just an example. You can set the requirements of your report as required. But now I can also pull that report into my portfolio. So I could say on my chart page, in my chart tab, I would like to add a report chart. And now I can pull in should be able to, let's see. Missing step here, but just give me 1 second. Should be able to select it from here. Oh, I know why. It's because I have it that only I can view it. Okay, let's close this and try it again. All right, so pulling in a report chart. There you go. Portfolios, our summary. So that's just one example of how you can pull into the page layout, any dashboard. And like I said, you can add in different fields or requirements for your report. But once that's done, you have to have it in a public folder. It can't be in a folder that just you can view, like a private folder. Otherwise, it won't be able to be added on the page layout. I could also change the label on this. I can filter it and more. And that's just an example. Now this report can be pulled into a dashboard. You can include that on your home pages and other tabs within Mission Control as required. Alrighty, does anyone have any additional questions? Otherwise, we can go ahead and wrap up the session on portfolio management. The examples you are mentioning focus on account client-driven portfolios. Can a portfolio have a different criteria? For example, a project category instead? Yep. Yep, you can group your projects by category. So if you wanted a portfolio of all your professional service projects, you can do that. It's just a matter of relating your projects to the right program and things like that. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Now, one thing to consider, if you are grouping your projects by category, currently you can only relate one project or one program to your project. So if you have your projects sorted by category programs and then rolled up, you can't relate the project to multiple programs. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All right. Thank you. Very welcome. It's a great session today. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to send them to support@aprika.com. We also have a chatter group that I recommend everyone join. This is where we post updates regarding our release, and I don't know if it's going to automatically log me in or not. But if you need that link, definitely reach out to support@aprika.com. We can get it to you. Another thing is that these video recordings are posted on our website, our Cosmo Campfire section of the website. Please allow 24 to 48 hours for it to be uploaded. I will not have a copy of the recording until it's uploaded. So I don't have I won't have the recording yet. Okay. Okay, so this tab doesn't load. We overdid it. All right, so like I said, you can find our previous Cosmo Campfires posted here. And then again, if you have any suggestions on future campfires, please send them to support@aprika.com. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a wonderful, productive day.